Ma'am, ma'am, you are not audible.
I didn't on only.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dakshayani.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah, in the yesterday's class, we have seen about a keyboard. This is a read built-in function, and we have seen about a control statement, where in the control statement we have two things. One is decision making and a repetitive statement. In decision statement, we have if else switch statement, and repetitive statement for while and do while. So in the control statement, we have seen there are various types of if statements: if statement, if else statement, nested if, and if else ladder, and a switch. Then if statement, that is condition. Then the block. So we see here, if the condition true, then this block will be executed. The same way, the flow chart, uh, condition true, this part will be executed, or else part will be executed. So then the same way we check for the uh, age. So 20 is greater than 18. Yes, it is true. Then it will display this. So that's what the age is greater than 18. So the control statement, if else statement, the Java if else statement also tests the condition. It executes the if block. If condition is true, otherwise else block is executed. That's what here condition, this true will be executed, else false part will be executed. So condition, true case, condition, false case, then after this. The program we have seen. So here if this condition is true, it will display even number. If the condition is false, it will display a odd number. So the same way, if else if ladder, if this condition is true, this part will be executed. If it is false, this condition will be executed. Then else this condition will be executed. Like this, it keeps going. Then else part. Condition one, if it is true, this will statement one will be executed. If it is false, condition two will be executed. Then statement two. So like this, it keeps going. This is what is called as a if else if ladder. So then the program which we have seen, the marks initially we have taken 65 and it is less than, and we check this. If it is false, this will be executed. If it is true, this will be executed. If it is false, it will check for this condition. If it is true, this will be executed, or else it will go to next if else. So next if else, like this, it keeps going. And because our value is 65, so it will print it as a C grade. So next is switch statement, control statement, where there are multiple options for us, but we'll select based on our option. So in this case, we have selected the 4 and this is a case statement. If all cases are for default, then we leave it. So this is a flow chart for a switch case. So then in this case, we have taken 20 as our number. So only this 20 will be displayed and default. So next is nested switch statement. So how we have if within one more if, same way nested uh, switch within one more switch. So this we have seen. So where college is 4 and the branch is C. So it will go to the case 4 and C branch C, that is case. So that is data communication network. So this is what it will come to case 4 and case C. So then looping statement, the Java for loop is used to iterate a part of a program several times. If the number of iterations is fixed, it is recommended to use for loop. There are three types of loops in Java. One is simple for loop, enhanced for loop, and labeled for loops. So looping statement for loop. So the for loop simple for loop is same as C and C++. We can initialize a variable, check condition, and increment or decrement value. The syntax for initialize, condition, increment, and decrement. This is what the code is, code to be executed. So here, this is a for loop. So flowchart for this: initialize, check the condition. If the condition is true, this statement will be executed and the increment will be done and it will check for the false condition. So that's what a for loop for. That public class, for example, public void, static void, just a small program for loop. So we repeat this line how many times? We repeat it for 10 times. So in that case, this is what is called as a loop. Next, we move on to the for each loop, or it is also called as an enhanced for loop. So the for each loop is used to traverse array or collections in Java. It is easier to use than simple for loop because we don't need to increment value and use a subscriptions notation. It works on elements, basics, not index. It returns a element one by one in a defined variable. The syntax is for type variable then array. Then this code will be executed. So we'll just see how this is being used for each statement. So the same way here, but we initialize the array with 12, 23, 44, 56, and 78. And this array we are passing for the for loop. So int I, we give a variable int as a I as a integer data type, and it keeps going till array is complete. And we want to display that. That is system.out.println I. So this will be printed. So what is there in I? That will be 12, 23, 44, 56, and 78. This will be keep printing. That is 12, 23, 44, 56, and 78. While loop, this entry control loop, the Java while loop is used to iterate a part of a program several times. If the number of iterations is not fixed, it is recommended to use while loop. So that is what Java while loop, that is entry control. So why do we call entry control? Can anyone say? Can anyone say why while loop is called as an entry control?
Man, because it checks the condition before executing.
Yes, true. So in the while loop, what we do is before we enter into the code block, we check the condition. If the condition is true, then only it will enter the loop. If it is not true, then it will come out. So that's the reason, because we check it initially. So we check it in the entry level, then it is called as a while loop, and it is also called as a entry control, because based on this entry, based on this condition, it will enter or else it will come out. That's the reason it is called as a entry control. So the Java while loop is used to iterate a part of a program several times. If the number of iterations is not fixed, it is recommended to use a while loop. So this is a flow chart for this. So where what we do here, condition, if this condition is true, then how many times it has to repeat, so many times it will be keep repeating, or else false, it will come out. So this is what is a while loop. So then same while loop, uh, you can at least check out how was your for loop and how is this while loop. So the same thing we are checking. We are repeating this loop. How many times we repeat that loop for 10 times. Same way we have done for a while loop, for loop. Same way we are doing for a while. So we can see here initially we give I equals to 1, and while I is less than equal to 10, then system.out.println I, then incremented I plus plus. So that's what here you can repeat this loop. You repeat this loop and print the number so many times. That is what is called as a I plus plus. I is equal to 1, 1 is less than equal to 10. So then print, then increment. Next time, first time I is 1, so it is printing 1. Then increment I plus plus means it will be incrementing 2. Then we'll check for 2 is less than or equal to 10. It is 2. Then system.out.println, it will print for 3. Like this, it keeps incrementing this. Increment I value. Then 4. Then 5. Like this, it keeps printing till this condition, that is till it is equal to. So that's what here, while I is less than or equal to 10. So this particular loop will be repeating. How many times this loop will be repeating? It will be repeating 10 times. And one more thing you can see, the increment is outside, initialization is outside, and this is the condition. This is the increment. Whereas in the for loop, you can see everything is in oneness. It is there in one single line. So that's one more difference, where here in the while loop, we use 3 lines for the same work. Whereas in the for loop, we use all initialization, condition, and increment one in just one single line. Okay, this is entry control. Even it is called entry control because based on this condition, if it is true, then only it will enter. If it is false, it will directly come out. Okay, next is do while. Do while is called as a exit control. Yes, can anyone say why it is exit control?
Because first state was executed and condition being checked.
Okay, so in exit control, in do while, what we are doing, at least minimum one time, you are entering into the block, then you're checking the condition, then based on that condition, you'll whether it has to enter or it will come out based on that condition. Means at least once you're executing the statement. That's the reason it is called as a exit control. So the Java do while loop is used to iterate a part of a program several times. Same way, the loops means generally we use it for number of times. Maybe some situations where at least one time I have to execute the block, then you can use the do while. If the number of iterations is not fixed and you must have to execute the loop at least once, it is recommended to use a do while loop. The Java do while loop is executed at least once because condition is checked after a loop body. The syntax for this is do and check while. So the flow chart for this, you execute this condition at least once, statements once, then check the condition. If the condition is true, then only it will go for repeating for the second time. If the condition is false, it will come out. So this is what is called as a do while loop. Do while loop is also called as a exit control. Why it is called exit control? Because at least once we are executing the statements and we check the condition, at least once it is executed, then we check. So that's the reason it is called as a exit control. Okay, so let us see one small program. Same program what we have seen for and while. Same way here do while. So you can see here I equals to 1, same I equal to 1 we have taken, then increment we have doing, and condition. So you would have seen this while was in the beginning if it is a simple while loop. Whereas in the do while, it is at the end of the do while. So that's the reason it is called as a exit control. And that while loop, simple while loop, was called entry control because the while loop was in the beginning and the condition was checked in the beginning. Whereas here we are checking the condition at the end. So that's the reason it is called as a exit control. Okay, so then initially I is equal to 1. So I is equal to 1. If do, it will come out, it will check for, it will print the 1, then it will increment. So increment it, now it will be 2. Then it will check 2 is less than or equal to 10. Yes, 2 is 2 is less than 2. So then it will print and again it will go back. So it will print 1, 2. So then now again increment to 3. So 3 is less than or equal to 10. Yes, true. So then go back, print 3. It is printing 3. Then increment. Now this becomes 4. 4 is less than or equal to 10. Yes, true. Then go back, print 4. Then increment. Then I becomes 5. Then go back. 5 is less than or equal to 10. So that print 5, then 5, then increment. Now it becomes 6. 6 is less than or equal to 10. Then go back to the loop, then print 6. 6 is print. Then now increment, then it is 7. So then 7 is less than or equal to 10. That is 7. Then it will go back. So print 7, then increment. Now it is 8. 8 is less than or equal to 10. Just go back, then print 8. Now 9. Increment 9. 9 is less than or equal to 10. yes, true, then go back, 9 will be printed. Now increment 10. 10 is less than or equal to. Now it is equal to. Yes, 10 is equal to 10. True. Then go back, print 10. So it will increment to 11. I is incremented to 11. 11 is less than or equal to 10. No. So then it will come out. So like this, all the loops for, while, do while, all the same logic, but with just to show you how all three are different. For loop, it all this increment, condition, initialization, everything is in one single line. The same work, same logic you can use for anything. Then we'll see what is the difference in the next slides. I have given you what is the difference between for, while, and do while. What is while? While is a entry control, and what is a do while? Do while is a exit control. Okay, next we move on to a jump statement. So sometimes I want to jump. So suppose if you have in your road path holes, so what we do, we jump that path holes, and further we move on walking. Same way here also, what we do here is we use some jump statements. So we have a first one is a break statement. What we have first one, we have a break statement. What is this break statement is doing? Anytime did we use break statement in any of the further last slides? Did we use break statement anywhere? Did we use break?
No, ma'am.
Switch case.
Yes,
Ma'am,
true.
switch.
Yes, ma'am. In switch.
Yes, in switch case we have used a break. So why do we use in a switch case break is, I have so many options, but I want to execute only one and come out. So in that case, we are using a break statement. So the Java break is used to break loop or switch statement if break is current flow of a program at a specific condition. In case of inner loop, it breaks only inner loop. Example, so that's what here, you will be executing some statement. I want to break. So you can use a break statement. So then how this jump statement, how the break is using this condition is, you want to keep repeating this condition. If the condition you want, in case if it is true, then you want to make it as a break, then you can use a small program. So for loop I equals to 1, I is less than 10, I plus plus, and if we check, if that is I value equals to 5, then it has to break. Means what? How many times this will be printed till I becomes 5. So it will be printing. This part print statement will be printing. Why? Because first I 1, first time 1. 1 is equal to 5. No. So then it will print 1. So then again next time it is incremented here 2. So then 2 is equal to 5. No. Then print 2. So then again go back, again increment this I. This time it will be 3. 3 is equal to 5. No. Then print 3. So then again go back here. Now increment. Now this time it is 4. 4 is equal to 5. No. Then print 4. Now go back. Now 5. This time 5. 5 is equal to 5. Yes, it is true. It is true. Then it will enter to this block. So what is there in this block? We have a break. So it means it will stop. It will stop. It will come out here. Come out here. It will come out here. Then stop. Stop the program. So that is a use of break. So what did we do? How many? You can use anywhere the break. It is not that here. We have just to show the break we have used here. So until unless this condition becomes true, this is for loop is repeating. Once this condition is becoming true, we are saying break, stop here. So it will come out and it will come out of the for loop and it will display. It is just coming out. So displaying part also it is done inside the for loop. So this is a use of break statement. So next we move on to a continue. Suppose I want to continue. I have used a break statement. I have come out, but next statements I want to continue. Then we use a continue statement. The Java continue statement is used to continue loop. It continues the current flow of program and skips the remaining code at a specific condition. In case of inner loop, it continues only inner loop. That is what you can see. Jump statement, then continue. So we see the program for this. So the same way you can see, till where it has to continue, it should keep continuing. Yes. So now int, same way, I equals to 1, 1 equal to 5, no. So then print. Then again come. So check 2, 2 display. This is what displaying. First time it will display 1, next time 2. No, it will come out, then display 2. Then go back, increment. So like this it keeps doing. Okay, when it comes to 5 is equal to 5, what it says continue. So continue means again it will display 5. So till where? Till this condition, till this condition becomes false, till then this will be continued. At least you should know the difference between break and continue. Break means what it has done. It has breaked when it is 5. When 5 is equal to 5, it will break. So when 5 is equal to 5, it is breaked. And when we want to continue, even the if condition becomes true, then also we want to continue. So that's what here the continue keyword will be used. Next one is a return type. Did we use return types in anywhere in our program? Did we use? Okay, if we have not used also, why do we use a return? Why do we want to use a return?
Call function.
Okay, so when we want to go back from a sub function to the main function, then we use a return. So the return statement is used to explicitly return the method based on the some condition. We may need to go back to the calling method sometimes, so we use a return. Next we move on to the nested for loop. Did we use nested somewhere? In back slides we have used nested. We have used
Yes,
nested.
ma'am. We use nested switch.
Nested switch. One more. Only for
Nested if
yes,
else.
true. Yes. So we have used nested. The meaning of nested is what? Within it one more. It may be any number. So the same way here also for loops. It is not only for loop. It can be for any loop. While within one more while. Do while within one more do while. For within one more for while. So you can use anything. I'm just explaining only for one. Other two is because it is same. So I'm not doing it for while and do while. I'm just explaining for, but that is left to you people, but because it is exactly same what the nested for loop is doing. If we have a for loop inside another loop, it is known as a nested for loop. The inner loop executes completely whenever outer loop executes. The same thing you can write it even for do while and a while. So for within one more for is called as a nested. Similarly, while within one more while is called as a nested while loop. In the same way, do while with one more do while within it is called as a nested. So that's the reason you have to remember for all the three. Nested can be for any loop. It is not only for loop. But I have just explaining you for loop. The other two, it's left to you, how you have to write. Okay, let us see one small program. So what we have done here, we have used for within one more for. Did you use any time in your earlier subjects? Means either it may be in BCA or in your first semester uh, classes. Did you use two for loops?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Matrix.
Yes, true. You have used for loop in some of the programs. So the same way here, we use the nested for loop here. For we use execute this for I equals to 1 till I becomes 3. You keep incrementing. This is for one for loop. Again within this for loop, we have one more for loop, that is j. So j is equal to 1, j is less than or equal to 3, then increment. So this for loop, it is printing j. This for loop keeps printing, and even I as well as j is printing. So end of I, then end of j. So this is what is called as a nested for loop. Similarly, can I not, same program, can I not write for while? Same program, can I write it for while?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, similarly, I can write for do while also. So what is your output for this program? Can anyone give me the output of this program?
1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3.
Okay. So 1 1 2 2 because it's a inner for loop. It keeps going on 1 1 1 2 2 2 2 3 3 3. This is for outer for loop. The inner for loop 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. So this is what, because you can see here this loop repeats, this will be one only. That's a how many times this inner will be repeated? 3 times. That's the reason 1 2 3. But outer will be 1. So then again it outer will be incremented 2, but inner will be executed 1 2 3. Then this will be 2. Then 2 will be incremented to 3. Then this will be 1 2 3. This will be as it is. So like this, the two for loops are executed. Okay. Next, heard about pyramid? Heard about pyramid?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what is pyramid is doing? How is your pyramid's structure? How is pyramid structure? Anyone can explain how is a pyramid structure?
It's a cone-like structure.
Yes, it is a cone-like structure. Even in a pyramid displaying, we use a two for loop, that is nested for loop. One more example for nested for loop. So we can see here, first for loop, I is equal to 1. And we start and we check whether I is less than or equal to 5. Means outer for loop should be repeated till it becomes 5. I value becomes 5. This should be repeated. In the same way, for int, one second, something happened. I'll just come out. So I heard some blast sound, so I just stopped it and went. Okay. Okay. So in this case, what I equal to 1, I less than or equal to 5, it keeps repeating. Then j equal to 1, j is less than equal to I, it should repeat. So then what, how many times this line should be, a star should be printed. So based on this value, it should keep printing. And move to the next line. First time print I and j. Yes, I is 1, j is 1. So I is 1, j is 1. Yes. Then this is a true. So then it will print. Then go for the next line. Then increment. So increment I, increment j, so many times, then repeat. So display this. How will be output of this program? How will be output of this program?
Star, second, first row in first star, in second row 2 star, in third row 3
Okay.
star, in fourth row 4 star, fifth row 5 star.
Okay. Okay. So that's what here, what he told is right. First time we are printing 1 star, next time 2 stars, 3, 4, 5. So this is what is your output of this program. Okay, so one more pyramid. Can anyone give me the difference between this one and the last one? Here also we use two for loops. What's the difference between this pyramid and the last pyramid?
ಉಲ್ಟಾ ಬರುತ್ತೆ.
ಉಲ್ಟಾ ಬರುತ್ತಾ? ಯಾಕೆ? Why?
ಅಂದ್ರೆ 6 ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಉಲ್ಟಾ ಬರೋ ತರ ಡಿಕ್ರಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಇನ್ನರ್ ಲೂಪ್ ನ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ.
Yes. So here in the inner loop, what we are doing is, you can see in the last j we were incrementing plus plus, but now here j is decrementing. So the difference you should know here. Earlier we have given j plus plus. Now we have given j minus minus. So the same thing here. That's how here this pyramid will be like this. First it will print all 6, then decrement by 1, then decrement by one more, decrement by one more, decrement by one more, decrement. So just to show you how this increment and decrement operators are working. Here you can see here this is J++. Yes, so that's the reason it is incrementing. Here J minus. So it is decrementing. So that's what here. This both are pyramids only. One is incremented pyramid, another one is a decremented thing. Okay, so before we move further, let us see what is for loop. Just recap of for, while, and do while. So what is for? The Java for loop is used to iterate a part of a program several times. If the number of iteration is fixed, it is recommended to use a for loop. When should you use a for loop? When your iterations are fixed, then you use a for loop. Then when should you use a while loop? When should you use a while loop? The Java while loop is used to iterate a part of a program several times. If the number of iterations is not fixed, it is recommended to use the while loop. So when should you use a while loop? When should you use a for loop? When should you use a do while? They have given here. If the number of iteration is not fixed. In the for loop, if the number of iterations are fixed, then you use a for loop. When the number of iterations are not fixed, then you can go for a while loop. Then in which situation should we go for a do while? The Java do while loop is used to iterate a part of a program several times. Use it if the number of iterations is not fixed, and you must execute the loop at least once. Even a do while also, it is when your iterations, you don't know that iterations is 10, you don't know the iterations is 20, then you can use while and do while. Again, in while you'll be knowing it is a entry control, so it will, based on the condition, the loop will be entered. It should enter or should not enter. Then do while, what it is doing, at least once, though it is also the number of iterations is not fixed, but at least once it will be executing. That is what is a do while. Okay, so that's what I just told you. We let us see the difference between all the three. So what is the introduction for all the three? What is for? The Java for loop is a control flow statement that iterates a part of a program multiple times. The Java while loop is a entry control statement, executes a part of a program repeatedly on the basis of a Boolean condition. So the do while loop is a control flow statement that executes a part of a program at least once, and further executions depends upon the given Boolean condition. So this is an introduction about all the three. What is for loop, what is while loop, what is do while. Then when to use which loop, when should I use a for loop, when should I use a while loop, when should we use a do while. So when to use a while, if the number of iterations are fixed, it is recommended to use a for loop. So when should I use for, when should I use while, and when should I use do while. So this is very important. This difference definitely they may ask you in your Java, because every one of them know that you're all studied so many subjects. They may not ask, much of them may not ask you what is a for loop, what is a while loop, what is a do while. Instead of that, they may ask you something like this. So what's the difference between all three, for, while, and do while? Okay, next one, the syntax. So the syntax for while and do while. So the syntax, you can see for initial value, in initialization value, condition, increment or decrement. So I told you the for loop will be having in a single line. So after that, this code will be executed. So in this case, in the while loop, the initial condition is outside. While condition, it is just checking the condition, then increment here. So that's what here the code will be executed. So the same way, even in a do while also, but the difference you'll be knowing, this is entry control, this is a exit control. So outside you'll be having initialization, then the code block will be executed, then the while. So that's how here the while and the increment. So that's what here for, while, and do while will be the syntax for all the three. Then the example for I equals to 1, I is less than or equal to 10, I plus plus. So that's how here it will be printing all the three: initialization, increment, condition, and increment. All three is in one single line. Then do while, initialization is outside, condition is checked in the while, then increment. So that's what the while is. And do while, initialization, do at least execute one time this will, then check the condition. This is what example for all the three. And the last syntax for the for infinite loops. So infinite loop is what I want to execute some statements infinite number of times. So then the syntax for the for, you would have seen this: for double semicolon, and this code will be executed. This code will be executed infinite number of times. So that's what is uh, the for infinite loop. In the same way, while also I want to write infinite number of true, then we just give while true. So the same way, even do while also I want to execute infinite number of times, then we use a do while. So that's about a thing. uh, so we have another 15 minutes, but taking attendance sometime. So I just don't want to start today's class with the class objects and methods. I will stop here. Before we stop, so let us just recap what we have done today. So we've started with for loop, and again in the for loop, nested switch we have seen in the last class, and we've started with looping. So what is looping? I want to execute some statement several number of times. Sometimes it may be fixed, sometimes it may not be fixed. It may be fixed, it may not be fixed, but we want to execute some statements. So then we are using a loop. And again in the for loop, we have simple for loop, enhanced for loop, and label for loops. And the simple for loop, it is similar like what we have used in C and C++. So the syntax is same for initialization, condition, and increment, and execute this code. This is a for loop. So the flow chart for this is how the flow chart is. Uh, Initialize, condition, statement, and true. So then we have seen the program. The same program is used for all the three. That is for, while, do while. What we have done here is we are just printing the number 1 to 10. Based on this condition, we are printing. In the same way, enhanced for loop. What we are doing in enhanced for loop, we are just passing an array to the for loop. For each loop is used to traverse array or collection in the Java, it is easier to use a simple for loop, but we don't need to increment value and use subscript notations. It works on element basis, not index. It returns elements only by one in a defined variable. So that's what you can see here for type of variable and array. That's what here for int and array, that is 12, 23, 44, 56, and 78. It keeps printing because in the array we have, in this array, these are the numbers which are there, and automatically this will be incremented. First 12 will be printed, then 23, then 44, 56, 78. So next is while loop. So while loop is also called as an entry control, where the condition will be checked here. Based on this condition, whether to enter or not to enter, based on this condition, we can decide the while loop. That's the reason it is called as an entry control. This is a flow chart for the while loop entry control. And this is the same program. What here we are printing for 10 numbers. So we start from 1, 2, 3, 4. So like this, and enter a 10. So then do while loop. This is called as a exit control. So exit control. So Java do while loop is used to iterate a part of a program several times. And the do while, so what it is doing, it is not, if the number of iterations is not fixed, then we can go for a while and do while, which we have seen in the difference. But again, why do while you may ask, but at least once we have to execute, then we may use a do while. So this is what the do while, at least once the statement will be executed, then condition. Based on that condition, we check whether it should be executed or it should not be executed. That's the reason it is called as a exit control. The same program here also, where we print for how many things? We print for 10 numbers. So next we have seen about a jumping statement. So if I want to skip something, I don't want this is very boring line, something like that. If you feel, then we may use a jump statement. So that is what here jump. There are two things. One is break and one more is a continue. So that's what here. This is a break statement flowchart for a break. Then this is the same program, but same program, but here we are stopping to 4 because within if loop we have given a break. When it becomes, when I value becomes 5, it will come out. That is break. Because we have used break, it will come out. The same way we have one more thing, that is continue. So what is this continue is doing? I want to continue. I continue till some time. So the same program we have used here. Even though it 5 I becomes 5, 5 is equal to 5, because we have given continue. It keeps continuing till the condition in the for loops become false. So that's a work of continue. And find last one, return. So what this return will be doing explicitly, either I may use main program, some methods I may use, some functions, so which you would have studied in C++ as a function, whereas in Java we call it as a methods. So if you want pass some values back to the main program, then we use a return. In the same way, we have a nested if, nested switch. Same way, we have a nested loop. So the nested loop can be used for while, and do while. For within one more for is called as a nested for. While within one more while is called as a nested while. In the same way, do while within one more do while is called as a nested while. So generally we call it as a nested loop. I'm just explaining one. Other two are similar, but maximum we use in all the programming for nested fors rather than while and do while. That's the reason I'm just highlighting only for. So we have a for loop inside another for loop, then it is called as a nested for loop. So here we have seen how the for loop is printed. So first for loop 1, then the inside for loop it will keep repeating till 1, 2, 3. The outer for loop it will increment to 2. Then inner for loop again it will be printed 1, 2, 3. Then again outer for loop it will be incremented. So like this we print. So this will be the output of your program. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 for inner loops will be printed. Outer loop 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, like this it keeps printing. Next, we have seen about a pyramid. So what is this pyramid is doing? It is here we are just using the increment for our inner loop. So that's the reason you can see here the stars will be incremented. Display increment we are doing. The same here we have used that was increment and this was decrement. So decrement come out first 6, then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Like this we are decrementing. Then we have seen what's the difference between for, while and do while. When should I use a for loop? When should I use a while loop? When should I use a do while? Then we have seen a difference between all the three. What is for, what is while, what is do while, when to use which one, then what is a syntax. And we have seen one example, and we have even seen if it is an infinite loop. If it is an infinite loop, then how should I use these all for, while and do while. So I'll stop here. We'll continue in the next class. Yeah, answer your attendance. Anaga is here.
Yes, ma'am.
Abhilash,
Yes, ma'am.
Akhil,
Ma'am.
Akrut,
Yes, ma'am.
Anusha,
Yes, ma'am.
Arvind,
Present, ma'am.
Arifullah,
Yes, ma'am.
Benaka,
Present, ma'am.
Banu Prakash,
Yes, ma'am.
Bhargav,
Yes, ma'am.
Rahmatullah,
Present, ma'am.
Chaitra,
Present, ma'am.
Chandana,
Present, ma'am.
Charan, Charan,
Yes, ma'am.
Darshan,
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Dik-
ma'am.
Diksha,
Present, ma'am. Present, ma'am. Ma'am, I was present for the previous class also, ma'am. I couldn't answer.
okay, Dakshayani,
Present, ma'am.
Kishan,
Present, ma'am.
Harshit,
Present, ma'am.
Hemalata,
Present, ma'am.
Uma,
Present, ma'am.
Jayant,
Present, ma'am.
Divya,
Yes, ma'am.
Kaushik,
Present, ma'am.
Lakshmi, Lavanya,
Ma'am, our
Manish,
mic is not working, ma'am. Lavanya present.
okay, Manish,
Present, ma'am.
Manoj,
Present, ma'am.
Mohit,
Yes, ma'am.
Naval,
Present, ma'am.
Navya,
Present, ma'am.
Nikhil,
Present, ma'am.
Panindra,
Present, ma'am.
Pavan,
Ma'am.
Pooja,
Present, ma'am.
Present, ma'am.
Purnima,
Present, ma'am.
Raman,
Yes, ma'am.
Rashmi,
Yes, ma'am.
Rupak, Rupak,
Yes, ma'am.
Sai Kumar,
Present, ma'am.
Samir,
Present, ma'am.
Santosh,
Present, ma'am.
Sadab, Sadab, Sharan,
Present, ma'am.
Shashank,
Present, ma'am.
Sheetal,
Present, ma'am.
Shivani,
Present, ma'am.
Soumyashri,
Present, ma'am.
Spurti,
Present, ma'am.
Shri Vishnu,
Present, ma'am.
Sugandhini,
Present, ma'am.
Sushma,
Present, ma'am.
Sushmita,
Present, ma'am.
Sushmita U,
Present, ma'am.
Tirtha,
Present, ma'am.
Trupti,
Present, ma'am.
Varsha,
Present, ma'am.
Veena.
Present, ma'am.
Okay, so we'll meet again in the afternoon session for the lab. So we have today afternoon lab for all 60. I'll stop here. We'll continue in the afternoon for the lab session.